Hello there, and welcome to my housing guide for Songs of Syx version 66. In this video, I will guide you through all you need to know about the topic of housing. How to install it, a few little things to know, how to configure, how to set up houses where they are actually needed, and many things in between. So let's cover the basics first. Of course, everybody needs a home, and up here in this area we see how many houses, homes are currently available. If this ever goes into the negative digits, you don't have enough houses for your entire population. More about this counter though in a minute. When you want to build more houses, you find them here in the homes menu. Houses for the plebs and chambers for the nobility. So far as I'm informed though, these don't do any change for the nobility whether they have the chambers or not. Correct me where I stand wrong. Houses though, they are coming in three different sizes. Apartments for 3 people, houses for 5 people, and longhouses for 10 people. In previous versions, there were differences in terms of privacy and in terms of preferences for the people, but in the current version 66, these three really only differ in their footprint and in the amount of residents that they can host. Apart from that, they are really the same quality-wise. There is a caveat though. You should note that races won't mix in one house though. So a city full of longhouses would therefore have a problem with there can be only 10 people of the same race living in the same house then. This can be sometimes problematic if you have a racial minority and sometimes can lead to housing shortages. That is the only thing that I so far found out why you should ever build smaller compounds than the longhouses. The gist of it here, if you find my talking here too complicated, is longhouses for the majority of your city, apartments for the minority if you don't have stupid amounts of these people. A 50-50 city, for example, can build longhouses exclusively, and that's pretty much it. You get to select which kind of material is going to be used, and you get to select whether or not walls are going to be used. Well, walls should be pretty much always the standard, but there are a couple of races like the Tilapi which love to be in the outside. So in a sec, they have here a preference for forest and a preference for outdoors. So if you happen to build their homes without walls in the forest, counts as forest and outdoors, and they're happy. So this is why this actually exists, in my opinion. Or if you know another use, let me know. Because in 99% of the time, you will want walls around your apartments, and make sure that this is checkmarked. So the material choice should always go alongside with the preferences of your race. You can always check out what the people like in this area of the overview of the race, and so you can see humans, for example, are vibing most in grand buildings. So if you start building housing out of that quality, it'll make them very, very happy. Therefore, what's left to say? Housing should always be placed smartly. So that means housing should be not in the vicinity of noise generators unless it is housing for Dondorians or Cretonians. As you can see here, noise is exuding from many workshops. You can use it. Well, you can see how it spreads with this lens, and you want to put your housing away from that because it'll make the people unhappy, substantially so if you ignore it completely. Here is a neat, nice little trick that I used. You see these walls here. So let me show you how I can build them here in the structures menu. There is a slider for walls. So here you can build walls. These walls can be used to shield off noise from the homes. So here you see I built just that ugly little wall there, but it now shields the entire housing compound off of the noise there. So if we'd be expanding that wall to this direction, and you see once the last bit is covered, it's very important that it must be complete. The entire housing compound here is now no longer affected by the noise. And this way you can build intelligent without having to avoid housing in the vicinity of workshops altogether, because you need to have housing where the work is happening, because otherwise you will have people that have no home. So let's look at this screen more closely now that we know how to set up housing in general. So this is your overview about the about the general housing situation. You can also see how many people here are homeless. And here is an interesting fact. We have more homes than we need, but there are still 19 people homeless. This is because I have spread the houses not according to my workforce allocation. So when you zoom out here, see these yellow tiles? This is always marking where people don't have enough houses. As you see, this part of the city is working as intended. There's enough housing in the vicinity for all the people that work in this area. But here we have a much higher density of workers because we have our labs here and other worker-intense industries, and therefore there are too many homes, but still they are on the wrong spot. This is very important. Therefore, you should always try to check once in a while if there are still people homeless and add in a couple of houses. And always keep in mind the houses are where the people work. And if you don't follow this rule, you will end up like I do here. So the other thing that is also very, very important to note, in the vicinity of housing, there should be always the most basic services available depending on the wealth of your city. A well, a hearth, and a speaker are really cheap to afford. That's not a speaker, that's a pillar. I'm very sorry. Here. Speaker, hearth, and well. If the housing center grows bigger, a food stall and shrines are quite nice. A stage, a lavatory, shrines, all those things add into the quality of the center. Always keep in mind things that don't cost any workers. They are pretty much only a resource that you need to spend, and therefore I like to put them into the vicinity as they don't cost me anything except for a little bit of wood and stone. That being said, we can also configure our housing more detailed. So there is a assignment screen where you can now assign which kind of people are ought to live in which house. This is a really interesting thing, as every race likes something different. This way we could, for example, paint this quarter here for Cretonians. If we, or, well, let me swap over here. This is a way better area for that. If we'd be painting this area for Cretonians and now be fetching a lot of Cretonians, they would be picking up the farm work and be living here in the area. We then could also start upgrading the area to Cretonian liking, meaning no square houses, more harmony emitting things, and wooden buildings, and whatever comes to your mind to make the area more fashionable for Cretonian living. And you can do that for every race. This tool here allows you to make sure that the proper people are living where you made them a nice nest. This is basically the gist of it. But you have still to follow the rules of work. So you still have to make sure that the workers are properly assigned to their priorities as you want them. Here, priority screen. Here you can also set up the priorities for each race and each work type. And with the combination of house assignment and work priorities, you can create town centers that are exclusively home to a certain race and ideally adapted to their needs so they can be super happy with their environment. Also, housing can be upgraded via adding furniture into there. On this screen, you can add in extra items that people can pick up when they move in. This is a different selection for every single race out there. Some are really meager, some like it are rather pompous, and some have really costly things in mind, some have really earthbound things in mind. It is very, very diverse, as are the people of Syx. So, what's important to note? Every single pip will increase the fulfillment and draw a certain amount of extra resource out of your pools whenever you build a house. Basically, you increase the cost per house with this menu. But you also make the people more happy about the housing. The big caveat about it is that you now also have a yearly upkeep to pay. So you see here, adding wood into all the houses brings me a grand total of 1,050 pieces of wood that I need to pay each year. You need to divide this number by 16, as the Syxian year has 16 days. Sadly, in the current version that I'm playing, the upkeep of the housing is not reflected here. I really would love if this would be seen here as well, because currently, I am very sad to say, version 66 beta, as I'm recording this, you have to divide the number by 16 and make sure that your production is high enough for that, as the user interface does not calculate that for you automatically. But maybe it will be fixed soon. Who knows? Let me know once it is fixed for sure. This is now applicable with all manner of different things. You see here always how many items are needed in total. The number that you see here, the 2,784, are if I'd be doing this. So every single pip here is 25% of the total number. Here it's 33% of the total number, and so on and so forth. What's worth noting is high quality housing is a easy way to keep people happy, and that is very, very powerful. So what's left to say about housing? Well, not much. You now know pretty much all the tools that you can use to control where people live and to control if everybody has a home who needs a home. What I want to add as a last thing here is check out the environment tab if you want to increase your housing quality even more, as you gotta see it like that. People spend their life at work and at home. So this is where people will also get the most of their environmental impressions. So if the environment is absolutely fit for that race, where you have a lot of housing, you get a lot of impact out of these things. Mix that with good things for the people at their workplaces, and you have pretty high fulfillment on the environment tab. Here it really counts to take into account where the people stay the longest, because this is how these bars and meters fill. From time to time, the Syxian person seems to look around and check, oh, how's my environments, and then they update their tab accordingly. And the more often they see something pleasant, the more these meters go full. So, my friends, I hope this helps you with housing. I hope there was a thing or two in it, even if you were already familiar with the game, because I really dug as deep as I could with the data of this. Feel free in the comment section, though, to show me that you know even more than me, because you are more than welcome. This game always amazes me with new things that I haven't known yet, so go crazy, let me know. Thumbs up on this video would be wildly appreciated, so the algorithm would like it too, and feel free to subscribe. Check out the description box. I have a playlist link to all of my Syxian tutorial stuff down there, so feel free to check out. Also, I have a Discord server and a Twitch channel, so you might want to drop on by there. And a big thanks to all the supporters of Icon Gaming. I'd be also very, very delighted if you'd check out the links to Patreon, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or YouTube membership systems. Whatever scratches your itch, I'd be a very, very grateful man. And a big thanks, of course, especially to you, dear viewer. You are around here still. Appreciate it. Hope you had a good time. See you next one. Bye-bye.